How's it going, everybody? It's Carlos, your host of the Just Fans podcast. I'm joined here, of course, by my fellow co-host Rios. How's it going, Rios?
Just trying to wake up, man. I took a glorious nap and yeah.
Do you even work? What do you do for a living?
I work very hard, I'll tell you what.
Oh yeah, okay. And of course, as always, we love having him over all the time. He's more than welcome. He can run our show if he wanted to. We got the man, the one and only HTownWheelHouse. Brett, how's it going, man? How you doing?
Man, it's going good. I was excited by the results we saw yesterday.
Yeah.
The Texans are off to an 0-2 start, but you know what? Behind a line with a lot of injured players, I
Yeah.
think Stroud's doing a really good job. I mean, he doesn't have much to work with,
Mhm.
and so I think the Texans are moving in the right direction. The Rockets are still in. They just seem they cannot get out of their own way, and
Tell me
Houston
about it.
sports for right now is really focused on what the Astros are doing or not
Oh
going to
yeah.
do this postseason.
Oh, exactly. You hit the nail on the head on that one. Yeah, we've been doing our shows live from the Bull and Bear, and for the pre games and the post games with me and Rios, and yeah, you're right. Like Stroud's doing what he can, but he's you can only work with what you have, right? So he's doing the best with what he can. He's making what is it, lemonade out of the lemons that the Texans are throwing him,
Yeah.
and so here we are. But I'm impressed with Stroud. I'm impressed
He looks like the
with
real
the
deal.
yeah, he's a
Yeah.
real. I feel like he's a real deal. He's doing what he can, and like you said, with a beat up O line, and that can barely protect him as it is. I mean, how many quarterback hits do? I mean, not hits. How many sacks does he have? Rios? We talked about it on
Through 2 games, 11.
11. Yeah,
Wow.
11 sacks. What was the pace, Rios? You mentioned he was on pace for how many?
93.
93, the all time record.
Man, that's like David Carr numbers, man. That's
Yeah,
I think David
wow.
Carr's was like 74. It was like in the 70s, but yeah,
yeah.
it's bad.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
awful, man. It's bad. But we titled this episode "It's Time," and the reason
Mm.
why I named it that way is because, well, I mean, it's time to talk about the Astros. How are we going to do in the postseason? Are we going to make it to the postseason? We're a lot of those questions are being answered. Where it seems like we're just running a race in the AL West of who can be in first. I mean, we've been on first, like just like you predicted, Brett, in one of our previous episodes. Oh, we'll be first soon enough, and sure enough, that's exactly what happened. You predicted the Rangers going, not staying there all the way through, and that's exactly what happened. It's that. I mean, the Rangers are exactly what we thought they were,
Right.
and that's
Right.
what happened. That's exactly what happened. So tell us, Brett, what do you how do you see these next few games? Really, the last part of the season. How do you see the Astros, matching up against these next few opponents?
Well, we have Oakland for 3, and then we play Seattle, I believe.
Right.
The good thing is Seattle and Arlington play each other 7 times in these last
There you go.
10 games that they have remaining. There's a 3-game series that's happening in Arlington starting tomorrow, and then I believe, I don't know if the Mariners played the Rays or who they play, and then they play they play the Rangers again,
Yeah.
and so it really like bodes really well for this team because they basically beat up on each other. Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
Texas for Seattle, then us, then Texas to wrap the season up. So that's a gauntlet. 7 of the last 10 games, 11 games is literally against a rival. And both of these guys are tied up. I like where the Astros stand right now. I really don't think you're going to see the results that you saw when you had the Oakland A's come to town
Right.
with just getting really kind of embarrassed.
Yeah.
They played Kansas City. They lost 2 of 3. I think one of those games was very winnable. You could have easily won 2 of those 3 games. But the Astros, if they take care of business at home, I think they go into Seattle. Dusty Baker's lined up the rotation to take on Seattle with max effort and their best arms. And I think it may be a playoff preview at some point, but the Astros, I like where they are. I think they can maintain their spot in the West. They absolutely have to. You don't want to depend
Yeah.
on what someone else does. You got to control your own destiny.
No, you hit the nail on the head, man. Exactly. You have to control your own destiny because if you're, I haven't seen, the Astros have been dominant for as far as I can remember. Since destroying the Yankees in the in the ALCS. You name it, like preventing the Yankees from going that extra step. But
Right.
now, I mean, this season, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love my Astros, and I always will. It's just, I think what as a fan, I'm just like, man, these winnable games, like you said, it's a little, it gets a little frustrating. But then you realize you have such a great team when we play like these more difficult team, more difficult competitive teams. Like the first time we went against the Orioles, we swept them at home.
Yeah.
And this time we came around, the Orioles ended up beating us. I mean, at least winning the series. Excuse me.
Yeah.
They won the series, and now it kind of makes you think a little bit. Like, what do you think is going on at home?
Well, I just think they're getting. I just think it's a comfort thing.
Okay.
National people are saying that they look disinterested. They don't look locked in. When they're on the road, they play differently. If you look at Altuve, if you look at Diaz is one of the only hitters that is actually hitting better at home than on the road. But Altuve's numbers on the road are crazy. Jordan's road numbers are crazy good. His home numbers, not so much. And so I just don't understand what it is other than it's got to be something to do with being comfortable and being in routine and just maybe too laid back.
That makes sense. Yeah.
No, I have a question. Would we rather them be have home field advantage or be on the road? Because they play much better on the road than versus at home.
Well, I predict a Baltimore Houston ALCS. And if that happens, they will be the road team. And I think that probably bodes well for us.
Yeah.
But you have to steal one in Baltimore. I had tweeted about that, and someone joked that they were going to pitch Kyle Bradish in games 1, 4, and 7.
Oh, geez. Wow.
because the
Yeah.
Astros cannot seem to hit him. 22 straight innings scoreless against us. So look, Bradish can go game 1. Well, Bradish can go game 1, but game 2, if you can split with them at home, you come back, you could easily, even if you lose 2 at home, you still go back to Baltimore with 2 more games left in a 7-game set. And I still like the Astros' chances. I still think they figure it out at home in the playoffs. I think in the playoffs, they're not going to be disinterested. I think in the playoffs, they're not going to be maybe look like they don't have a fire under them, because that's what it looks like. They have a fire in their belly when they leave. They don't really have that fire when they're at home. They've also played more games than anybody in the league playoff-wise. And so there's got to be some routine type mentality that they're battling themselves on a daily basis, I think.
No, I agree with you. They seem a lot more comfortable at home. A lot. I mean, I can't even think of the record right now of wins and losses at home.
They are 39 and 39 at home. They're perfect 500.
Wow,
which is not good. They're one of the best road teams.
Right.
They've won 47 games on the road. They've only won 30. They're 39 and 39 at home. So, look, if they can hopefully go in and sweep the Royals, they can get that record over 500.
Right.
But first time all the last 3 games. Yeah. It's like, come on, let's put it together for the fans,
Yeah, exactly. No, it's what's funny is that another thing I wanted to talk about is all the Maldi hate, man. I don't know if you've seen it lately. All the Maldi hate. I'm like, geez, it's like the first. It seems like a lot of the fan. Don't get me wrong. It feels like a lot of the fans kind of are split in some way. Like they automatically blame Maldi. They blame Dusty like immediately. Do you now to their credit? I mean, yes, there are questionable calls from Dusty. Some people say the lineup. Some people say Martin Maldonado could have done a better job. But do you see that as being like one of the biggest reasons why the Astros his performance at home isn't as great as it is on the road, or do you think it's not as bad as people make it seem out to be?
I really think this is purely a subjective thing, right?
Right.
It's what Rio sees, it's what Carlos sees, it's what I see,
Right.
it's what Chandler Rome sees or Brian McTaggart. The bottom line is this: we all know the statistics, we all know
Right.
the numbers. I just told you Diaz is a better hitter at home.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that the Astros would have better chances and would have maybe 6 to 8 more wins if Diaz was in the lineup on a more consistent basis or with other pitchers other than just 1 or 2 in the rotation. But you can't say that for sure definitively because Diaz has been in there and they've lost games when he's been in there.
Right.
So it's not a guaranteed win. And look across the league. How many teams depend on amazing catchers both offensively and defensively?
Mm-hmm.
That is a rare commodity to have. Now, once Diaz becomes the full-time catcher, you'll have a catcher who can both hit and catch. But you know what happens to catchers? Their abilities deteriorate as they get older.
Right.
So he may have a few years on the upside, but he's going to be just like every other catcher. And there's going to come a time where people are like, Diaz's time is up and someone else has got to move in. I don't think lineup construction. Now, I have openly opposed lineups where people are in the batting order because I didn't agree with it.
Right.
But they have a method to their madness. This team is the most successful playoff team in the last 7 years. No one touches what we've done.
Right.
And people suddenly think that we've become this stupid team. Or people start when to say, well, we don't have Strom. Well, we didn't have Strom last year.
Right.
And we had a perfect season. So you don't give the pitching coaches credit then, but you want to fire the pitching coaches now. You didn't give hitting coaches credit back then, but now you want to fire the hitting coaches.
Right.
You gave Dusty credit back then, but now you want to fire him. Although I think some of the decisions, and look, here's the biggest problem with the fan base, I think, with Dusty Baker, is a messaging issue. The messaging is never very good. When he says things, he says too much, he tries to explain too much, and he lets you know he takes it personally. How do I know this? Because I myself do the same thing in real life. I know what it's like. So I'm looking at myself in the mirror, Dusty, when I'm preaching to the choir here. So I get that. I understand that. When you care deeply enough about something you do and you feel like people are attacking you, you're going to take it personally and you're going to try to explain, this is why I'm doing this. But I think he says too much. He gives them too much fuel for the fire. Maldonado would not be in there if the Astros didn't think they could win games with him behind the plate. And you can disagree with that. You can go to Fangraphs. You can create a website. You can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, the guys that make 6 and 7 figures, they make those decisions. And whether you like it or not, whether they're only a half game up, they're still in first place. Yep. The AL West is still theirs to lose. And until they get knocked off, the formula will continue to be successful.
Yep. Well said. Well said. Exactly.
Like most of the pitching staff, like they want Maldonado to catch them because they trust him. They trust his instincts. They like what he brings to the table.
And like,
and you know, I'm sorry. And look, I never played baseball at a real high level. Okay. I played till I was about 15 or 16 years old. And so I didn't play D1 baseball. I didn't get a scholarship. I didn't play in the minor league. So I don't really have any baseball cred here. And I don't think you have to have baseball cred in order to talk about. But people completely throw out when Rios, you mentioned that, they just want to throw it out. They just think that has nothing to do with it. And I'm like, no, it has everything to do with it. And it's not a myth. It's not a misnomer. It's like, yes, this is something that, you know what? Yiner and Chaz, they want to play more, right?
Right.
But you know what? They like Dusty, and Dusty likes them. And I've had people tell me, oh, well, I know people that tell me that they don't like. Whatever you're hearing about them not liking each other, there's not a splinter in the clubhouse. There may be a motivation issue at home, but this clubhouse is together. I can assure you that.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, you hear that all the time, like, oh, Dusty doesn't like Chaz McCormick and
Dusty
stuff, and
hates
then
Chaz. Dusty hates
Dusty
Chaz.
hates Chaz, and I was like, he's like, if I hate the best, I know that you said that Dusty says too much, but to me, the greatest response to that was, if I didn't like him, I would have bring him banana pudding or something like that ever in his meal,
And we've
or
been talking
something like
about
that.
banana pudding.
Yeah,
Ever since.
And then Chaz went to Kobos Q after the game, and he said they have the best banana pudding in
yeah.
town.
There you go. I mean, I don't think just there you go. That's the endorsement. I don't think Dusty has to travel far. All he has to do is like walk right across. There you go.
That's right.
No,
Well, the
exactly.
funny thing is they don't make banana, but he made it especially for him because they don't have it on the menu.
You're right.
There
I
you go.
know that. I know
That's
that.
right, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, HTown, you got a shout out right here from Albert Marroquin. Says,
Oh, what's up, man? Yeah,
HTownWheelHouse.
man. Albert is a regular, man, to Locked On Astros. He is one of our
Oh, that's
faithful followers, man. Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate it, and I really hope that people that listen to our show and watch our show, download our show, I hope I hope those listeners translate to an audience for you guys too, because we got some really, really smart fans that follow our show.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I mean, thank you, man. I hope that translates a lot better than Google does. So that's for sure. Yeah, man. No, yeah, it's been exciting, man. We haven't had you on in a minute. I think we it's just been busy,
Yeah, school,
and
work,
school, you name it. It's everything. But
no
no, man,
cerveza, no trabajo. I mean, come on,
right?
let's
Exactly.
go.
You can't function. It's
Life philosophy right there.
exactly. It's oil for a good machine right there. Yeah, man. It's
That's
fuel.
right.
Yeah. So no, man. Again, I'm glad to have you on. I'm glad to have you on again. And this is awesome all the time. But so we talked about that about the Astros record at home. Let me see. Altuve. Let's talk about Altuve real quick. Man, has he had a heck of a season this season.
He has.
It's like compared to last season. Sorry, compared to last season. Like our world. I think one of the biggest concerns that we had last season. Again, it's funny to say because we won the World Series last season. Was Altuve like, oh no, is he getting to that point? Is he getting what's happening? It's almost like it was a little bit on the back of your head, like he's not hitting. I think there was a point where in the playoffs he went 0-16 or something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was over, and people were doubting him.
Yeah,
but look, the guy still sports a career 307 average. 200 home runs, 200 doubles, I believe, 200 stolen bases. He's one of the fastest to 2000. I mean, this guy just continues to just turn heads, continues to pump out Hall of Fame type numbers. Yeah. And look, he's only played in, let's see, how many games? He's played in 81 games, and he already has 100 hits.
Yeah.
Last year he played in 141 games. He had 158 hits. So he's playing a lot better. He's 12 points over his average last year. He did get to 300, but this guy has hit, and I know average isn't the end all be all, but he's hit 300. The last two seasons in a row, he had a little bit of a drop off, but he had that time from 2014 to 2018 where he hit over 300, 341, 346 in a couple of years. Altuve is the guy. The only criticism I have of Altuve is he is not a good base runner. I don't, for the life of me, I think Altuve's speed has reduced quite a bit, and I think he still thinks in his mind that he's fast.
Yeah.
But that's his mentality, right? If I have a chance, I'm going for it. He is the guy that never lets an opportunity miss. I mean, that's why he was signed by the Astros. Because the first day he showed up, they were like, get out of here. You're too small. You're too young. Came back the next day. And when they signed him for like $15,000, which is probably, a pot of gold for him down in Venezuela, the way he grew up. But they signed him and they said his glove needs work. His bat's good, but his glove's not great. And, he's got decent speed. I mean, maybe just don't steal as many bases or try to. But other than that, I think his game is flawless. He's a character guy off the field. He's a leader on the field. And I still can't get over a guy of this stature, of this size, doing things he's doing against 6'5" pitchers, 6'7" pitchers. I mean, the competition is literally twice his size, and he's playing twice the game.
You want to ask Aroldis Chapman how he feels about it? That's
Yeah,
every time.
yes.
Name a better duo, right?
That's right, man.
Chapman and hanging sliders.
Yes. Oh,
That
man.
and that is the single reason why we need the Maury Povich show to come back out. The tests are in, and the tests say that
are the
you
father.
are the father of Aroldis Chapman.
Chapman and the Yankees.
You see
That's right.
Chapman and the Yankees running in the backstage crying. Oh man.
Yeah, no.
Hello, papi. I'm Daddy Yankee.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So also I wanted to ask you as well. I feel like I'm all over the place, but so
you're good.
you usually talk about a lot of prospects, coming up. Have you the one in particular? What have you kept up with Billy Wagner, Will Wagner's son?
So
Sorry,
Will
Will
Wagner.
Will Wagner
Yeah.
is a son.
Yeah.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
So Will Wagner was just called up,
Right.
for the final series, with the Space Cowboys.
Yeah.
And I mean, this kid really has the potential to truly be someone who can be a part of the Astros' future.
Yeah.
I absolutely love what he's doing. He's got the hit tools. He's got the glove. I mean, Will Wagner does look the part very much of a major league player. But let me tell you, someone else who's making moves is Shea Whitcomb. Shea Whitcomb leads minor league baseball in home run. He's launched 35 home runs between Corpus and Sugarland this year. He basically has a chance to win what's called the Joe Bowman Award. It's given annually to the minor leaguer who leads in home runs. He could win that award. But those 35 home runs are the most in an Astros minor league by an Astros minor leaguer since Kyle Tucker hit 34 in 2019 with Round Rock. And so he can surpass that. So he has a chance to match or surpass George Springer's 37 home runs in 2013. For the most home runs by an Astro minor leaguer since 2003. Get this, he has 102 total RBI. All right. And he's only like the 7th farmhand ever in Astros history to have that many RBI in one season. But Will Wagner promoted in his debut with Sugarland, he went 2 for 4 with a double.
Wow.
And then he followed it up with a 4-hit night on Wednesday. And so it's his first 4-hit game of his career. So the first 4-hit game of his career comes his first stint with AAA. And so AAA Sugarland, and I can tell you this right now, that if he continues to do that, if him and Shea Whitcomb continue to grow, look, you may see those guys. Joey Loperfido is a stud out there in right field, center field, a left-handed bat. I would compare his left-handed swing and bat a lot to Kyle Tucker. I'm not saying he is Kyle Tucker,
right?
But he's got the bat-to-ball skills. He's got the exit velo. The kid's got an arm. He's grown. I mean, he's a strong kid. He was, if y'all don't know anything about him, he's from Duke University, helped lead them to their first ACC title.
Nice.
And so these guys that we got coming up, nobody's really talking about them outside of Astros circles, but those are 3 names. And Spencer Arrighetti, I think, will make an impact next year at some point on this roster and in this rotation.
There was an article from Sports Illustrated. It came out, I think, a few days ago about Bryce Matthews. And they were praising him in there that eventually, again, this is what Sports Illustrated said. And they were talking about how eventually, Jose Altuve signed until what, 2025, something like that?
2025.
So, I mean, again, this article was written by as Sports Illustrated, and they talked about, well, what would be, what's life after Altuve for the Astros? And they named a few of the players that you're talking about, and then Bryce Matthews came into it, and they were talking about, well, he's if I'm not mistaken, I think Bryce Matthews is a shortstop. I'm not too familiar. I think he's playing shortstop. Yeah,
I believe he is a shortstop.
Yeah.
He might have played some second base.
Yes,
but,
and that's where they were tying it to, that eventually, like, obviously, if they're promoting guys up, that eventually this guy may, if once Altuve's contract is out, and I guess life after Altuve, would be a guy that the Astros could see as maybe replacing their second baseman. What do you think of that?
Right. So he has played. So right now he's only done shortstop and DH.
Right.
But when he was in college, he played second base, third base, shortstop. Basically, he played all over the field. And we talked to Kenny Van Doren of Astros Future, and Kenny said just had nothing but good things to say about his glove, about his bat to ball skills and everything like that. He could have a chance to do that. But you do have other guys that could probably come in and step in, I think, before Bryce Matthews. But hey, I don't want to forget these guys, because this is something significant, because it's along the lines of, Joey Loperfido, and a guy that we kind of don't talk about a lot right now, which we should probably talk more about, is Pedro Leon.
Yeah.
Pedro Leon has 23 doubles and 21 home runs. Loperfido has 27 doubles and 24 home runs. Okay. These two, it says there are two of just 23 players in minor league baseball that have 20 doubles, 20 home runs, and 20 stolen bases. And then you have Corpus Christi has a kid by the name of Kennedy Corona, great last name, 21 doubles, 22 home runs, and 32 stolen bases. And of course, Shea Whitcomb is one double shy of joining the 20-20-20 club. So where the Astros don't get they don't have the big, sexy number one picks where they're playing the prospects millions of dollars. They've got kids that grind. They've got kids that can play multiple positions. And that is the beauty of the Astros organization and what they continue to develop. And you hope Dana Brown is working on behind the scenes, because if you can develop players and we can continue to be a club that has the most homegrown talent, that's where titles come from. They don't come from buying free agents, New York Mets. They don't come from bringing over free agents, New York Yankees. They don't make it to World Series because you sign big free agents, San Diego Padres. I mean, do I need to keep going down the list of all these teams that have bought talent? The Dodgers, they won a Mickey Mouse 2020 title, so they didn't actually really win anything. So you have all these clubs that have done this, and they're not homegrown talent. The Red Sox did it. They broke through because Joey Cora helped them cheat in 2018. We won't talk about that. So there are a lot of things. There are a lot of clubs that do it and attempt to do it, but the Astros continue to do it the right way.
Yeah, exactly. There's always somebody behind somebody else, and that's the great thing about the Astros organization. People that that don't see that, I don't think they can truly appreciate how, they always tell us, well, they were able to get a championship without George Springer, without Carlos Correa, with guys that other organizations, like you said, would have paid, X amount of money for them. I mean, look at Carlos Correa. He was, the Mets were supposed to sign. The Giants were supposed to sign him, and then it was the Mets, and then he ended up going back to Minnesota. Like a good example, the Mets, they went on a shopping spree, and now they're paying two of their pitchers not to play for them.
Yep, and one of them is not going to play this year or next year.
Which
and then the guy they let go, Jacob deGrom, because they knew of injury issues, is out the same this year and next year.
Yeah,
but the only team that is matching the Astros are the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah,
because they have former Astros executives and they built their farm system from the ground up. And what do? They tanked. Thank you very much. That's why they were able to get that homegrown talent, because they tanked. Now the system is rigged to where you can't have more than a couple years of top 10 picks. You get booted. So you can't tank for a third season. You got to start being competitive, because you get knocked out of that top 10 lottery pick, which, I get it. But it is just one of those things where the Orioles are kind of the new wave Astros.
Right.
And I think the Astros and Orioles meet up in the ALCS. I really still like our chances. I still think they're the favorite out of the AL. But sooner or later, this is going to be the Orioles league. And I would be shocked if they didn't go on some sort of run like the Astros. And obviously, it would be at the peril or demise of the Astros.
Right.
But that's the one team that I think has the ability and has sustainability because of their young talent, because of guys like Cedric Mullins doing things that he does. alongside Gunnar Henderson and everybody else they have. It's just insane to look at their lineup and go, holy crap, these kids are rookies.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you. So, now with Dana Brown, the way that we've been getting Astros players, we kind of sign them to short-term deals here and there. Do you feel like obviously Kyle Tucker to me is somebody that we have to sign? Do you think he's going to be one of those guys? Do you think he's going to keep doing the long-term the short-term stuff, or you think eventually the Astros are going to have to buckle down and say, "Hey, we got to pay this guy"?
I believe that the Astros have to, at some point, make an exception to their rule.
I think so too.
Because good things always come to an end, right? The Roman Empire didn't last. Now, we're not the Roman Empire. We're not self-imploding. The Roman Empire fell because they let the barbarians in, and they let the barbarians ruin their society from the inside out. That's why they fell. They got too arrogant. They got too complacent. But you have to say, okay, we have been successful not breaking the bank. Signing Kyle Tucker to a long-term $300+ million deal, or $280 over 6 years, is not breaking the bank. It's not hurting because it's not getting any cheaper to go to Astros games.
Right.
It's not getting any cheaper to park. And the parking lot across from the stadium is going to be turned into an entertainment facility that is going to be owned by Jim Crane. Space City Sports is about to go live on the air. And I promise you, Jim Crane and Tillman Fertitta have their hands in that. I believe they're part owners in that. So their TV deal is about to go up. So I don't want to hear this. There. Well, there is no excuse to not sign Kyle Tucker to a long-term deal. He is a durable player. He is a player that you don't have to worry about going on the injured list. He plays his heart out, and he hits the hell out of the ball. And his glove is absolutely amazing. Oh, and by the way, he's got a cannon of an arm, and he's got speed. That's what we call in baseball a five-tool player. George Springer was going to see a natural regression. Garrett Cole, you're not going to pay a pitcher that much for that long. Unless you're the Yankees. Carlos Correa, they knew something was up. They knew he was going to have issues. They knew it. And he already showed signs of being hit by the injury bug. And so Kyle Tucker, I think, is the guy that you break the mold for. If they don't break the mold for Kyle Tucker,
then who?
I think a lot of people in Houston will just really be like, okay, now you're just being greedy. Now you And I get it. I get the business side of it. Look, I've never been a billionaire, and none of us have, I don't think. But
back in the 1800s.
Well, my point is, I understand the business side of it. I really do. I understand the profits. Okay. And in business, a lot of times it's unfortunately profits over people.
Right.
How do you run a multi-billion organization and still be for the people? You got to pay Kyle Tucker, but paying Kyle Tucker comes at a price from the fan standpoint too. We want him to be paid. They're going to raise ticket prices.
Oh, definitely.
Again, if we win back to back like we want, you thought playoff tickets are expensive this year. Just wait till next year, kids.
And then the thing is, like, the stadium is full all the time that I go. Every day. Even during the week, year round is like 39K people at least at the stadium. So, like you said, there's no excuse.
And they put limits on season ticket holders, like they can only sell 50% of their tickets.
Right.
They don't have as many perks for the season ticket holders. I've heard complaints about that from season ticket holders. There's a lot of things that I wish they would kind of clean up a little bit. I think for the most part, we still do a good job. Jim Crane did good by all the employees. If you work 60% of the games during the regular season, even for Aramark, you got a ring. Yeah. That was really cool. And so, I mean, people getting rings that wouldn't normally get a ring. I mean, just someone who is making minimum wage on the side, maybe it's a second or third job, reward those people. Yeah. And that's what good bosses do. I think Jim Crane's got a lot more good in him than bad. I don't think he's a big evil billionaire like people try to make him out to be.
Not a Jerry Jones.
You got to pay. Yeah. You got to pay Kyle Tucker. Yeah, he definitely doesn't have a suite for a mistress. I mean, Jerry Jones. Wow.
Yikes.
Hey, do you know the difference between God and Jerry Jones?
No.
I'm about to find out. That's what I know.
God knows he's not Jerry Jones.
That's true.
Man,
Yeah,
you're not wrong there.
you're not wrong. Yeah, man, I'm telling you that man. If there was any more evil, that would be him right there. It, I I don't know. He's still going, but
He's the real life. He's the real life Mr. Burns.
yeah, excellent. Do you remember, what did you say? What did you say, Rios? We were talking with the Cowboys fans over there, and I think Bullen Bear about Jerry Jones or something like that. Like he like they took the credit, but it was all Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
that dynasty was
Yeah,
all
go ahead.
Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, he fired Jimmy Johnson because
Right.
Jimmy Johnson became more popular than Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can't have that.
They can't have that.
And what have they done since? Yeah.
We're going on year 30. But it's our year.
Yeah. Sorry, man. Sorry, we like to clown the Cowboys.
No, it's all
fans.
good.
It's always
It's
fun.
all
It's
good.
fun. Rios, you got your beer ready?
Oh, yeah.
I was like, you're surprised by this.
I was
All right.
actually.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So let me. Sorry, I'm still. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I'm still recovering. I've been sick. But all right, Rios, you ready for your little segment?
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Rios' beer of the week.
Yeah, so it's been a good minute since we've done this segment. So this week, went from something across the pond. It's called Boddington's Pub Ale. First time I had it was actually at King's Head. They used to have it on tap. It's actually pretty good. If you ever had Guinness, it's essentially the pale version of Guinness. Uses the same type of nitrogen to create the foam head. If you ever bite in the can, it have a little. You can hear it.
I hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty creamy beer. I'm not a big fan of English beers, but this one when I had it at King's Head, I had it during the World Cup a few years back, and I saw someone drink. I was like, I was curious, so I tried it. Like, it's pretty damn good. Like I said, it's like the light version of Guinness. It's very creamy. It's pretty sweet. Doesn't have a bad aftertaste. It tastes much better coming from the draft than it does from the can.
Yeah.
Just because of the nitrogen process. But yeah, this is one of my favorite ones.
What would you is there any food that would go along well with it?
Well, since it's sweet, I would recommend something actually, a little bit on the spicier side to kind of, balance it out a little bit because it's pretty sweet beer.
Okay. So something with spice and then that to wash it off. All right, that works. All right. How many I guess we were talking about Kyle Tucker. How many Kyle Tuckers out of 10 would you give this?
Oh, 9 out of 10 Kyle Tuckers.
9
If
out
no
of
one
10.
else got me, Kyle Tuck got me.
Kyle Tucker's got you. All right. There you go.
That's why I got to pay him.
That's why you got to pay him. You hear that, Dana? Huh? No. But
Jim
that
Crane.
was Jim Crane. Yeah. No, that was good, Rios. I actually enjoyed that segment. Good job. I was engaged. Good job, Rios.
Thank you.
You've done well for yourself.
I tried.
Yeah, man. So
See, that nap did you well.
Yeah, that did you well.
It did.
Hey, yeah. Hey, I know you, Brad. I know you were telling me that you were at the Colts game this weekend. How'd you like that? I'm gonna deviate a little bit from the Astros for a second. How'd you like that?
Well, I love being hosted by ImagineNet, who is basically they are the company that does all the IT work for the video boards all through NRG Stadium and Minute Maid Park. And so their president, Craig, and their GM Les invited me and my son. We sat in the suite.
Nice.
Free
Sweet
food, free beer. They didn't have a ton of options, but I did have the Love Street from Carbox, so that was good. It's a good pale, not pale, good light beer. I'm not a big like IPA hoppy beer type guy.
No,
you don't have the man bun and listening to Mumford and Sons.
Right?
And all that?
Yeah,
no?
I'm not.
I don't have it anymore either.
Yeah,
I chopped it off.
Yeah, my name's not Declan, so
Declan.
Yeah, I definitely don't go for that. But dude, we had like bratwurst, there was sauerkraut, there was chicken fingers, there was sliders. I mean, there was all kinds of stuff. It was nice. And I love the intro. I love the hype. It was electric. The Colts scored first. The Texans tied it up. I was like, okay, we're not gonna manhandle them, but we're gonna win. And then it just got out of hand so quick.
Yeah.
Sad to say, we left at the end of the third quarter. My son's like, Dad, can we go home? This is kind of getting boring. And I mean, look, the NFL when your team is good, it's fun to watch in person.
Oh yeah, straight up.
But when your team is bad, the stadium just seems empty because that stadium depends on the crowd. And I've
Right.
been to Texans game when they had Watt, when they had Johnson, when they had
Right.
Foster, when they had Schaub, when they, that season that they should have gone to the Super Bowl when Schaub's knee got crushed by Fat Albert Hainsworth after his $100 million contract. He just stopped working out and just kept eating. And then he sits on his leg, and then we got to depend on Matt Leinart to go to the Super Bowl, and that didn't happen. But I've seen some exciting games. I've seen some phenomenal games in that stadium. I mean, I saw a game where the Texans were up on the Patriots like 19 points at half, and then Tom Brady just cut them to pieces in the secondary with a little Julian Edelman here, little Gronkowski there, and they just like a surgeon just diced and sliced and diced that defense. But when the stadium's bum, dude, it's bum. I mean, it's hard. They booed the Texans going into the locker room at halftime. And I'm like,
last few years.
but they got 4 starting linemen out of the game. Like, what do you expect CJ Stroud to do?
Yeah,
but
I mean, he can only do so much.
Fun.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you had fun. I think we're going. We may go to the Steelers game because we want to see JJ get inducted or whatnot into the.
He's going to get inducted the day his brother.
The Ring of Honor.
Right. Yeah. So we're trying to get all of us together to go or whatever. We might do like a little podcast episode at the tailgating or whatnot beforehand. And
did you see what the Patriots did? Did you hear what Robert Kraft did for Tom Brady? You got him waiving his 4 years. So they have to wait 4 years to be inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Somehow Robert Kraft has waived the 4 years and he's going into the Hall. And I don't know if it's a Patriots Hall of Fame or the NFL Hall of Fame, but you have to go look at it.
It should be Patriots, I think.
Probably Patriots.
Okay. Yeah. So he is inducting him into the Patriots Hall of Fame like already. He's like, I'm waiving the 4 years. I mean, that dude came out and ran the entire field. I'm like, that dude could strap on a helmet right now and beat half the league. I mean,
right.
He could still play.
He could.
Like that's the undisputed GOAT of football. I mean, you can't argue it.
No, you can't. It's so funny because I used to tell these guys I used to hate when I was a kid. I used to hate Tom Brady because he was so
you
good.
You can't have it all. You can't be good looking, have a supermodel wife, and be the best player in your sport. It's not fair.
He did. It was just crazy. I was tired of seeing him every Super Bowl. Like, let me guess, every season, every NFL season, I was like, let me guess, the Patriots are gonna go, and then that would be
I think
what
they
happened.
said like 26% of the Super Bowls have been played with Tom Brady or something like that.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like a stupid amount.
I think as you grow older, you just kind of see the like, hey, this guy's actually really, really good, But I think as you're younger, you're just
I think my turning point for Brady was that Super Bowl against the Falcons when they're down 20-3. They came back and won. I was like, you know what? I'm never going to say another bad thing ever again about Tom Brady. I lost a lot of money, but still, I can't. He earned my respect that day.
Yeah,
but he also did it with, I forget, like look into how many receivers and tight ends and running backs he had. It's like over 100, or it's an insane amount of different people that he worked with.
Right,
he won Super Bowls with, and they were all in. A lot of them were older, really good older players, but they had a role. And that's the difference between what the Patriots do and everybody else did. When you came onto the team, you knew your role. Like you weren't coming in as a veteran, Randy Moss, going, I'm getting every ball or give me the ball, damn it, kind of like Keyshawn Johnson. You just had your role and you did whatever they told you to do. And as long as you did that, you were part of the winning team and you wanted to win the Super Bowl. And there's not enough clubs that have that kind of atmosphere in football. It's a very player-central league. And a player comes in and they want to dictate stuff. No, that's not how a team works. What's best for the team, not what's best for you. And that's why they were so successful for such a long time. And then when he went to Tampa, he instilled that same stuff there. I guarantee you, Brady said, hey, you want to know how to win? Let me tell you.
Let me show you.
I respect their coach. Was it Bruce Arians? Was the coach, right?
Yeah.
Great coach. Great coach in his own right. Respectable name. But I guarantee you, he sat down with Tom Brady and said, hey, let me pick your brain.
Yeah.
What did y'all do?
Exactly.
Tell me about the Foxborough.
What was the formula?
Right. And part of the formula was get me Gronk.
Yeah.
Get Gronk down here. And what did they do? They got him in. the rest is history. So yeah,
Yeah,
I know a lot of people hate him and all this stuff, but you got to respect the hell out of what he's
I
done.
Have
respect
to.
him. Yeah.
So
It's just
Not
funny
just
because it's a
that.
lot of fundamental football that they play too, man. Like you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
everybody had the role. And the thing is, like, I can't remember a time where kind of like the Astros, they didn't sign big names. They didn't sign
yeah,
the big stars for a lot of money. They were giving them what small, not small deals, basically, if anything. But I didn't
Yeah.
see big signings from them, just like the Astros,
Yeah. Outside
So,
of Randy Moss, there really wasn't a huge
yeah,
signing.
yeah, they didn't go out and get like, Marshawn Lynch and then like like a Travis Kelsey.
right,
Like they didn't bring in other massive
Right.
names to like build around Brady, kind of like the NBA, you build these super teams.
right.
They were just super because of their leadership, and this is how you do it. And so, but yeah, I mean, we're never going to see a run like that, I think, ever again
Not in
by
football.
a single player. But I can tell you this though, Patrick Mahomes, that kid's from Texas, man. He's a
I
winner.
know.
That
Yeah,
kid is going to win a lot of Super Bowls if they can keep that team together. And I know they've struggled in the beginning with the receivers dropping a lot of passes. They'll work all that out. The Chiefs, when it comes time for playoffs, they're going to be a dog because Patrick Mahomes makes things happen. And he does it unlike the way Tom Brady did. He does it with his feet. He does it with the sidearm passes. Brady had to be fundamental.
yeah.
Because, I mean, look at him. He's just like an average. He looks like you and me. He's just like, he's
Just a
not,
dude.
and then Patrick Mahomes, he looks like an athlete. The dude was
Yeah,
an all-star baseball player, was on Team USA as a teenager
yeah.
in baseball, could have gone in the draft in baseball, but just a winner, and winners win,
Yeah.
No, exactly. No, you're 100% right. Winners win, man, and it's
And I think another thing that separated Brady, he was never the highest paid player in the league. Even though he was the best player, he never was the highest paid player.
yeah,
Kind of like Michael Jordan, they always took less money because they wanted to keep the team together and continue to win. And I think a
yeah.
lot of these younger quarterbacks, they don't do that. They want to be the highest paid quarterback. And it keeps going up and up and up. But it comes at a price. You can't sign everybody. You can't keep your talent together. And you have a great quarterback, no line, no defense. And yeah.
And a lot of Brady's value too was in that you didn't see him go after every endorsement. He had very exclusive endorsement deals. He had very few, but I guarantee those endorsement deals were massive. Like you didn't see him in a Tide commercial and a Gatorade commercial and a Nike. Like you didn't like he created his own clothing line. I mean, he
yeah,
did, what is that, Rolex or one of these Tag Heuer or something like that,
yeah.
right? He had these exclusive, like Tom Brady isn't for everybody. I'm not going to give my name to anybody. And that's why like his autograph is worth so freaking much. That's why his cards are worth so much, is because he was a genius in marketing himself that way.
I just pictured him in an HEB commercial. That would have been funny. It's running with what's his name, Lance McCullers, and getting slapped in the back, like, I was like, when I saw that Lance McCullers like giving what's the name, as a Bregman the slap, I'm like, oh, your arm works now, doesn't it?
Not right.
Oh yeah,
that arm working now, isn't it?
Someone's like, we're paying this guy to do HEB commercials.
Yes. Oh man.
Oh, hey, question: do you think they
Yeah.
eventually cut ties with Lance?
See, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, what do you think? Do you think
it feels like it, man? Because he's
15
I love
million.
the guy. I love the
Like
guy. But he's
great
not
guy,
available.
love him. He just can't stay
15
healthy,
million.
man.
15 million though in the bench this season. Not on the bench, excuse me, in the injury reserve, IR, whatever you want to call it for baseball. 15 million. Then I think
IL.
next IL, yeah. And then next season, I mean, if he's out, that's going to be another 15 million that he's going to eat up anyway. So
the $85 million contract is looking like a really, really bad deal.
Right.
But now, I mean, the Astros credit. I don't think anyone could see the future of this.
Right.
But his injuries continue to be the same thing, which makes you just think that he's just had too much work done on that elbow and that arm. And it's unfortunate because he's the guy that if Dusty Baker gave him the ball and said, I need you to throw, I know you're tired, Lance McCullers would go out there and throw.
Right.
If he had to wheel his ass out on a wheelchair to the mound, he would do it. Like Lance is that guy. He is put the city on my back. I mean, he is the epitome of someone that moves to Houston and embraces H-Town.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
He's
why
H-Town.
I'm never ultra critical about his injuries or about his salary, because he is that guy. He's not pompous. He's not arrogant. I've never heard anyone say anything about him being rude to anybody. He does a lot for the community. But at some point, the Astros have to say, you know what? We got to cut ties, man. We got to get someone else in here.
It's a
Going to
business.
be able to go more than
like
5
you said,
games.
It's a business.
It's a business. It's a business
Yeah,
at the end of the
it's a
day.
business.
Like eventually, like I said, time will come, and that'll
You
happen
gotta
with
get
Altuve one day.
Gotta
Even
get a
with
return on your
Altuve,
investment. Return on
you
your
know?
investment. If you gotta get a return on investment, you gotta cut ties.
I remember when it happened with Biggio. I love Biggio, but there comes a time for everybody. And
Well,
Biggio,
I'm still
Bagwell.
surprised. I'm still surprised that Bagwell even played in the World Series at all.
right,
The
yeah,
dude couldn't even throw the ball to the
he
pitching mound.
couldn't. No, he couldn't.
His shoulder was
It-
gone.
Gone. Yeah, it
You
was
know?
completely depleted and deteriorated. Worse than
It was
Michael
just
Brantley had. It was
falling off the bone.
Cortisone shots too.
cortisone
Cortisone
shots.
shots
There
will
you
do
go.
that to you.
Yeah.
Yep, that'll
Yeah.
eat away. Kids, do not get cortisone shots. So,
Do
like
not.
maybe get 1 or 2. Be done with it, because it will eat your cartilage up.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you. So the last time you were on, this when I think I was in Argentina. Like it's been
Oh,
that
yeah.
long, and so I remember it's almost like we kind of predicted it, but we kind of knew that things were going to happen, knowing our team. So when we got Justin Verlander, remember we were talking about what is the asking price for Justin Verlander?
Right.
Now that it's all said and done, how do you feel about the whole thing? I know that I'm taking it back to that, but now that it's all said and done, what do you feel? Do you think it was worth the whole Drew Gilbert thing? And I can't remember who else we.
Rios doesn't like it. He just left.
He just left. He's look at him. He's protesting by leaving and giving us a shot of his television.
He's like, I got Maldonado's back.
Right.
Forget JV.
But not,
No,
forget
look,
JV.
I
What do you think?
I think JV being back is a good thing. I do think it was a high price to pay, but we'll see what the Mets do with Gilbert. My question is, will the Mets develop Gilbert to his full potential? Is Gilbert good enough to be able to put himself beyond a team that doesn't properly develop players? Because the Mets haven't really proven they can develop a whole lot of players. They have a few guys here and there, but nothing like what the Astros have done.
Right.
If it comes out that Drew Gilbert becomes a 10-time All-Star and, has a game-winning hit in the World Series, and the Astros don't win a World Series after Justin Verlander comes back, maybe then you say the trade wasn't worth it. But prospects are prospects. They're prospects for a reason. They're not pros. They haven't done anything. So until they do something, you really can't judge. I think having Justin Verlander back is huge. I know he's had some horrible games, but I also think that going from New York back to like being in Houston, winning, going to New York, thinking he's never coming back to coming back, I think that takes a toll on you a little bit, especially you're older. I think that you're going to see Justin Verlander have his best postseason that he's ever had this year. I think he wants to prove 2022 wasn't just who he is in the playoffs. He's got something to prove, and I think if anybody's motivated, it's Justin Verlander. So I'm very confident that this is going to be the best postseason you see him pitch in. So I think it's a good thing for the Astros.
I think he wants to get that World Series monkey off his back because he's had the track record of not performing in the World Series. I think he wants to
100%.
change it. He wants to change that narrative. Like, hey, you know what? I can perform on the biggest stage. Like,
and it's tough this year because you're probably going to face the Braves, and Ronald Acuna is approaching 40-40.
Yeah.
Crazy.
He's got 60 stolen bases. He's like 38 or 39 home runs. So Ronald Acuna Jr., Matt Olson, they got 2 guys fighting for the MVP. They got 2 or 3 pitchers that could be Cy Young winners. I mean, the Braves are one hell of a team this year.
Yeah.
And it's definitely going to be World War III if we play against them.
Agreed. It's dangerous right now. That team, the Braves right now, are scary. They're the team to beat. They're the team to beat, literally. Let me see. I was going to ask you also. So Christian Javier, the last game he played, it felt like it was the old Reptile again. It was the old Christian Javier. He's had. I want to say, and I may be wrong about this, but I feel like he's had the toughest season this season. With the Astros, it's very consistent. His ERA was higher than I've seen it from him.
All his numbers are down.
All across the board. But yesterday's game, I saw the old vintage Christian Javier, man. What are your thoughts on him?
I think that if he can continue to find his stride and get in the groove and get confident, that he's one of our most dangerous weapons on the mound. When his invisible is moving, when his fastball is moving, he induced so many swings and misses yesterday. 11 strikeouts.
Yeah.
If the Astros wouldn't have won that game yesterday, that would have been an absolutely criminal act by the offense because of what your pitcher did. Now, of course, it took till he was out of the game for them to make noise, and they had to win by walk-off. But even if Christian Javier finds his groove, I still don't mind him being a guy that comes out of the bullpen.
Mhm.
You could piggyback Hunter Brown and Christian Javier. That would be a powerful duo. You could piggyback Christian Javier and JP France. I mean, you still got Urquidy, who in the playoffs has been nails his whole career. And so right now, if Javier sticks with what he's doing, he might find a way into the playoff rotation. But I don't know. I don't know what Dusty's going to do. I don't know what their mindset is, but they'll have a plan put together. And I trust that they'll put together the right plan. Look, if Javier goes out and blows the doors off of the Mariners in that, I believe the third game, he's pitching the third game in Seattle, then he may well earn himself a spot as the number 3 guy, and then maybe Hunter Brown and JP France be that possible fourth in a 7-game series. In a 5-game series, you're going 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1. So
there you go. Yeah. No, exactly.
You answered my next question. I was going to ask you, what do you think the playoff rotation is going to be as far as the pitchers go? But you kind of answered it for me already.
Yeah, I think it's JV and I think it's JV and Valdez. You can interchange those two depending on who you're playing. Your number 3 will probably end up being Hunter Brown, but I wouldn't mind JP France in there. But I mean, Hunter Brown, maybe he's earned it because of what he's doing lately. Maybe he's playoff Hunter Brown like he was in 2022. But he came out of the pen really nicely too. So if Dusty's confident in Javier will be the third guy. I mean, he was a preseason Cy Young winner. I mean, that's MLB said he's going to win the Cy Young, and a lot of people jumped on that train, and he just
kind of let us
down. Well, he started out really good, and he's fallen off, and he's kind of coming back. So he looked confident for the first time, and
he did.
Probably
he did.
Yeah. Do you think there was a lot of I was watching a few videos and ESPN, I mean, this is ESPN saying it. Do you think that the pitch clock has anything to do with Javier's performance at times?
I think it does affect him. He hasn't looked comfortable all season long, and the pitch clock can't help. The pitch clock is there for one reason. It's to speed the game up.
Right.
When you have a pitcher that's wheeling and dealing and pressing, what does a pitcher do to reset? They catch the ball, they step off the mound, they pick up the rosin bag, they pace a little bit, they get back on the mound when they're ready. Well, now it's like, dang, you get the ball. If you don't get a timeout call from your catcher or the batter, you're on that rubber and you got to throw.
10 seconds.
You got to be throwing.
10 seconds.
You just, I mean, even with the mound visit, the second they call for mound visit, Dusty Baker gets 1 foot on one step, 29. Like by the time he's out there on the field,
that's 5 seconds.
It's like 10 or 11 seconds off the clock. So I think the pitch clock has had an adverse effect on Javier personally. But
I think him and Valdez, because Valdez, that was his thing. Like he would get frustrated, he would get off the mound, walk around a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, and same thing with Garcia. You do the baby rock thing, and then whatever. But
his little brother's in our farm system, and he has the same motion.
Oh, you're kidding!
And they don't say anything to him about the motion. He's got the same step motion that his brother does. He looks just like him.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, look up Luis Garcia's brother. He's in our. I forget who he's playing for right now, but he's in our system.
He's a system. Okay.
I think he's in Corpus, if I'm not mistaken.
Is he in Corpus?
Is he in Corpus?
I think so.
Is it Corpus or Fayetteville?
It's one of the kind of.
Yeah.
It's not Sugar.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, we'll look at it.
Oh no. So his name is Santos Garcia. He's wait, is that him? No, hold on. That may be wrong. Okay, no, I don't think that's it. Hold on. Luis Garcia Astros. Sorry, I don't want to put out bad information on your.
Oh, you good? Oh yeah.
Yeah, Luis Garcia is a pitcher. I have to look it up, dude. I don't know his little brother's name off the top of my head. My bad. My bad, fam.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I think it's Herbert Garcia. Heribert Garcia.
So it's Herbert.
Herbert.
Eddie,
Herbert,
so in
there you
Spanish, it's basically Heriberto. You know, like Herbert Garcia.
Heriberto.
Yeah. So I'm looking at him now. He's in Fayetteville. Yeah, with the Woodpeckers.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
he's got a
and Kenny
6.17 ERA. 23.1 IP. He's got a 1.46 whip. So, but that's this 2023. This season. His actual MILB career is he's let's see, he has a 4.35 ERA in his whole career. I mean, since he's in the minors. So
I mean, it's the minors. You got to take it with a grain of salt. It's the minors.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it's somebody that we can pull up one day eventually, to help us out too. Because, I feel like, but even with Luis Garcia, man, this season, it sucks that he got injured. But I mean, even him, like he had his good days and he had his bad days. In the WBC, he was killing. He was
lights out. He was lights out.
Lights out. And then when he came over, when the regular season started, it was like, wow, what happened to that guy that was killing the WBC? Like you had these high hopes, and
the couple games before he got hurt, he was starting to get back to that WBC form,
right.
but then
he got hurt,
got injured, and he was done for the year.
Yeah,
right.
No, so I think now, I guess if you were to say pitching, what is? And this will be the last thing because I know we got to go in a little bit. When we look at pitching, what do you think the weak spot is in pitching? Do you think it's bullpen? Do you think it's our starters here and they're being inconsistent? What do you think would be the weak spot?
Well, I think it's our starters and how you can't give up 2 or 3 home runs to start a game. You can't walk 4 or 5 batters to start a game. You have to go 6+, and those are things they haven't been doing this year. Mm-hmm. Last year was a perfect season, literally.
Right.
Starting pitching, relief pitching, everybody was nails. When the pitchers were on, the hitters were on. This year, the hitters are on, the pitchers are off. The pitchers are on, the hitters are off. It starts with your starters. They set the tone. Justin Verlander's giving up 4 home runs in a game. You're probably not winning that game, even if they're 4 solo shots, just because you're always playing catch up, and then you're pressing, you're getting outside of yourself. Then your game plan goes to the wayside. It's starting pitching, and the Astros don't have as strong a rotation, though they still have a strong rotation, stronger than most teams. They better batten down the hatches and buckle down and fine tune this thing, because come playoff time, you're playing the best teams in the league.
Yeah,
and whether it's the Orioles, whether it's the Twins, whether it's the Blue Jays or the Mariners, they're all coming for you.
Yeah.
And you've got to be on top of your game. If our starters can set the tone in the playoffs, I think our bats follow. And I don't think we get through it as easy as we did last year, only losing 2 games. But I think we can easily win each series we're in and be competitive with our starters setting the tone.
Agreed, 100%. You heard it here from HTownWheelHouse and nowhere else. No, man. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on the show as always, bro. It's amazing having you on again. You, like I always say, you classy our show. You make it better.
And we appreciate it. We always learn a lot. Like you're just a fountain of knowledge.
Well, I appreciate that, because I know there's some people out there on Twitter who don't think that I have a ton of knowledge.
Don't listen to them. They're, but what is it? What is the thing? If you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So
if you don't have haters, man. You ain't popping if you don't have haters.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Take it as take it as a positive.
No, yeah, definitely, man. And thanks for having me on. And if y'all are watching this and you're over from Locked On, make sure you listen to them, check them out live, share with your friends, let them know these are good guys, H-Town guys. They're hardworking off the mic, they're hardworking on the mic. And it's truly great to see Houston guys building something organic from the ground up. And so you guys should be really proud of what you have, what you're building. I promise you guys got a bright future in this. So keep doing the good work.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. No, seriously, great hearing it. It's awesome hearing it for you, man. You make us feel special, and that's what
Right.
makes us feel special.
Well, you are, and
Yeah.
look, I don't give compliments lightly either. I don't say it unless I mean it. So
No, I appreciate you, man. Seriously, it means a lot coming from you, like from somebody that's done it for years or whatnot. It actually makes us feel good, makes us keep motivated, you know. So appreciate that. But hey, well, if you're going this weekend to Mike Drew's thing, we hope to see you there.
Yeah, I'll be there
But
Saturday.
it's gonna be fun, Kobo. So all right, guys, thank you again. Thanks to our guest, HTown Wheelhouse. We're trying to keep this monthly thing more. How do you call it? Keep it going more often. So again, thanks again, HTown Wheelhouse. I appreciate you. Always great to have you on because we get to learn about prospects, learn about what's going on in the game, and of course your predictions who have been actually on point. You know, so
I
that's always
appreciate it.
awesome.
Yes, sir.
All right, y'all. Well, that's going to be it for today. We'll see you guys on Sunday live from the Bull and Bear Pub to do our pregame show against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, hopefully, finally, a more
Get a
happier,
W. Get a W.
happier
Yeah,
tone.
get that
I'm
dub.
tired. I'm
so
tired
get
of
that
tears of
W.
lamentation, man.
Yeah,
These tears of lamentation are killing me.
We want Rios to drink from happiness, not from sorrow. So that's what we're trying to aim for on Sunday. So we'll see you guys then. All right, y'all. Don't forget to check HTown Wheelhouse on and Locked On Astros, and of course your Twitter handle. Oh, I thought I had it in here. Nope, I don't have it here. I'm sorry. I need to add
Yeah,
it on
it's
there.
just at HTown Wheelhouse. Yes, sir.
HTown Wheelhouse on Twitter. Follow him up, man. Great dude, very knowledgeable, and of course, again, follow him up on Locked On Astros. That's gonna be it for us, guys. We'll see y'all on Sunday. Like I said, peace.